And a great Thursday afternoon. Yeah. A little bit weird this week, but thank you and welcome to the special 4 o'clock edition here of TitleTown Throwdown. Next week, we'll be back at our normal 7 p.m. time spot, but that's all right. I still got to bring you a live show now, don't I? All right, a lot to unpack early on, but big news of the National Football League. I do want to start off with this. Got other NFL notes strictly about the Patriots. I'll get to them later. But Carson Wentz is on the move. It's been rumored for a couple weeks that he's going to go somewhere. He's going to be on the move somewhere, whether it's to Chicago, say Houston, say maybe New England, even though that was doubtful from the beginning. But Indianapolis has gotten their next man. And Carson Wentz, and all it cost them was a third-round pick and a compensatory pick in 2022. Let's break this down for a little bit. So Carson Wentz, not bad as a starter, right? He's 35, 32, and 1. 113 touchdowns to 50 picks, over nearly 17,000 passing yards throughout his career. He has battled some injuries. All right, he's had ACL issue. He had an ACL tear. He's had some concussion issues. He's had some ankle issue. The guy is a mess. All right, like he's Tony Romo 2.2, only probably with a little bit more talent than Tony Romo. And not knocking Tony Romo here. Well, maybe a little. But anyway, though, Carson Wentz to Indianapolis. This gives Indy still a fantastic chance to win that AFC South because, look, can anyone win the NFC East? Yeah. It is literally the black hole division of the National Football League. It is the division in which no one gives two poops about that they can just slide under the radar and one of those teams have a good season. People are like, oh, okay, so maybe finally we found a team that will finally take over the division, and then the very next season see a team win that division 7-8, 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. So that's the NFC East, okay? It is quite literally the black hole division of the National Football League, and Carson Wentz got out of that black hole division. Is this division any better? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the fact that you have, a competitive team there like the Tennessee Titans, who them and the Colts went back and forth with all season long. That was a great battle. That was a great division battle between the Colts and the Titans. Knowing the fact because the Titans are known to have okay seasons after a pretty good one. The Texans are in disarray, then the Jaguars are the Jaguars. They're coming off of a 1-15 season. Next year, they'll probably finish 3-13. Or 4-12. Who knows? Who cares? Carson Wentz has a chance to win the division every year now. Legitimately. Not like he didn't have a legitimate chance in Philadelphia. It's just the NFC East just blows. And the Eagles are a garbage team. All right, let's be honest with that. The Eagles are not a good championship caliber team right now. Look, 2017, they had a really good year, as did Carson Wentz. They did beat you in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, might add, but they still had a very good season. They did earn that championship, but they did catch lightning in a bottle with Nick Foles. Okay, let's be honest with that. Nick Foles caught lightning in a flipping bottle. Okay? And the Eagles, and many Eagles fans have kind of just held on to that and won't let it go because they're still, drinking to us and yeah, Super Bowl champs. It was 2 years ago. Your team sucks. But look, is this a good move for the Indianapolis Colts? Yes, I think they get their next man for the foreseeable future in Carson Wentz. Because look, Philip Rivers, he retired after a year, but Rivers just wanted to prove that he could still play at a high competitive level, which he absolutely did. I think he could have played another year, but it's Phil had a great career. He has a great taste for the Hall of Fame. Andrew Luck, look, that dude is broken also. All right, but do I feel he retired too early? Yeah, he did. Carson Wentz, broken. But does he have a chance to still last a while? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, the guy's won an MVP. He won a league MVP. It hasn't translated to the playoffs yet because he's only had one career playoff start. He got knocked out of that start. So the big thing for Wentz going to Indianapolis is this. Can he stay healthy? And then can he do it in the playoffs? Because not many Colts quarterbacks have. The only guy who was able to bring them to the promised land and win it all was Peyton Manning. But that was 15, 16 years ago now. Here we are entering the 2021 season. Peyton Manning's entering the Hall of Fame. And the Colts are on their fifth quarterback since. I mean, the Broncos have gone through 8 quarterbacks, so Denver's no better. At least Indy had a little bit of stability there. But still. Does Carson Wentz still have a lot to go? Yes. Does he make the Colts still a competitor in the AFC? Absolutely. Does he make them a Super Bowl competing team? I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, you got to get past Buffalo and Kansas City if you want to try to get to the Super Bowl. And that's a tall task in itself, which can be done. It can be done. But who knows? I don't. I just sit here and talk sports. But anyway, though, look, there were rumors a couple weeks ago saying that, the Eagles are going to trade for Nick Foles. Carson Wentz to go to Chicago. Foles will come back to Philadelphia. I would have laughed about that. I really would have. Do I think that there's a chance that Nick Foles could still potentially end up back in Chicago? He could. Could he end up back in Philadelphia? Yeah. Do I have a lot of confidence in Jalen Hurts? No. And look, he had one bad start out of 4, which, again, it's not terrible. It's not great. He didn't particularly look great in all 4 of his starts. He did beat the Saints, but they did that without Drew Brees. All right, they beat the Saints without Drew Brees, but that loss turned significant for the Saints because they lost out on the 1 seed. And then they proceeded to get their butts handed to them by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs after beating them twice in the regular season. So, great move for Indy. Really solidifies their quarterback situation. It kind of just, and I think that Carson Wentz is going to be in a huge, much better system than he was in Philadelphia, because Frank Reich is the head coach. Frank Reich used to be the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. So I think Carson Wentz will do good. The bad thing here for the Eagles is, well, now they're roughly $34 million of dead cap money sitting there. They're $34 million of dead cap space after moving Carson Wentz. But that's what happens when you give a guy a $140 million contract and then you bench him for the rookie. So, Eagles, you're rolling in your own poop here. You're sleeping in your own poop. And now that poop's done to chucked back into your face. All right? So that is my whole spiel on Carson Wentz. Going to get more into football in a little bit, but when we come back, spring training is almost here. The countdown to April 1st, opening day, is on. Pitchers and catchers have reported. What does Alex Cora have up his sleeve for his return? And as he finally gets to prepare for his third season as manager of the Boston Red Sox. Don't go anywhere. TitleTown Throwdown here on all sports fan-based network platforms. Snapdown Wrestling with Coach Tommy Lynch. You can catch him every single Monday night at 9 p.m. All right. Switching gears back to baseball now. Spring training is in the air. The Red Sox pitchers and catchers have reported Alex Cora is officially back as manager, even though we've known that since November. I called it. Not to brag. But I did think that Alex Cora was going to come back. I think he was the best fit for this team. He is back with his hands full. All right, Alex Cora has his hands full of this team. Just look. Mookie Betts got traded. About a month after you and the Red Sox agreed to part ways. So, Mookie Betts just traded a month after you got canned. Then the pandemic hit, and though the Sox were doing okay in spring training, they weren't setting the world on fire in spring training or anything like that. But then 2020, probably an abysmal season under Ron Renneke. No one really rallied around him. Renneke just fired the day, really like moments before first pitch. He just fired. But the Red Sox said, oh, yeah, no, you can manage the last game, but after this, get out of here. We don't want to see you anymore. Fast forward 1 month later, World Series ends. Not even like 10 days later, Alex Cora is back as manager of the Boston Red Sox. So what does Cora have up his sleeve for Act 2, season number 3 of the Alex Cora era? With the little lull in between because of his suspension with the Astros that we're not going to get into because it's too complicated of a story. No Andrew Benintendi, no Mookie Betts. Jackie Bradley Jr. is most likely not coming back either. Your ace Chris Sale's still recovering from Tommy John surgery. Who knows how Eddie Rodriguez is going to look. Nathan Eovaldi still can't stay healthy. Your rotation is a mess. The bullpen looks a little bit better, but still a mess. This whole team's still a mess. So what does Cora have up his sleeves for at number 2 as manager of the Boston Red Sox? My only hope is that he just keeps this team competitive. I mean, look, your only big name stars right now is Devers. Bogart, God forbid you trade him away. JD Martinez, who frankly isn't going anywhere because the free agent market has sucked so badly. I mean, look at Jackie Bradley. He's still down home. And yeah, those are your big 3 offensive guys. Alex Verdugo has a chance to be good. Still a lot of unknowns with him. Franchi Cordero, who I kind of dumped on last week. I don't know what you're going to get from him. Hunter Renfroe, I think you'll get a little bit of the same as what we saw in Tampa Bay from him. Solid hitter, gets on base. Not necessarily hits for power, but not like Benintendi was hitting for power either. Sam Bradley. Then not like Jackie Bradley Jr. was even getting on base, not like 80% of the time. So, besides all of that, here we are. Alex Cora is faced with a tough task. Keeping this team competitive throughout a full 162-game season. And with a lot of guys have unknowns. Red Sox got Adam Ottavino from the Yankees in a rare trade. We'll see how he does. He wants to bounce back from 2020, but then in how many good bullpen guys had a good 2020 in a 60-game sprint? It takes a pitcher, especially a relief pitcher, at least 20 outings to figure it out. Well, you didn't have 20 outings to figure it out. You had like 5. If you didn't figure it out after 5, you were porked. And that's exactly how Adam Ottavino was. He was porked after 5 appearances, but powered through. I expect him to have a bounce-back season. Red Sox start trying to sign a Japanese reliever. We'll see how that works out. Red Sox have had moderate success with Japanese pitchers, as in Daisuke had a good first year. Otojima had an all-star type season. Junichi Tozawa, he was okay. Didn't exactly set the world on fire. Koji Uehara, oh my God, was he huge in 2013. Seriously, Joel Hanrahan and Andrew Bailey sucked as closers for the Red Sox. Hanrahan couldn't stay healthy, and Bailey couldn't throw the ball over the damn plate. Koji could. So, am I all for the Red Sox doing that? Absolutely. Absolutely. But there is a but here, though. At what cost? All right, because offensively, I think you're going to be okay. I really do think you're going to be okay. I still think you can add another bat. Mitch Moreland. Please. Add another bat. Maybe add a... You don't need another utility guy. Bring back Jackie Bradley Jr. As much as he cannot hit the back end of a barn, I'd rather have Jackie Bradley patrolling center field than Franchi Cordero, who's probably going to get all confused with the triangle and allow an inside the park home run. Yes, JetBlue Park, the outfield dimensions are the same, so he'll have an idea of it. But it's not the real Fenway. It's just a minor league version of Fenway. So we got to see how that works out too. It's just with the Red Sox, can you trust them? Can you trust them? They're trying to rebuild the farm system, which I'm all for. But at what cost? Rebuilding the farm system and just completely sucking. There's two things. They're tanking to rebuild the farm system. Why can't we have a happy medium? The Red Sox had a nice happy medium going under Theo Epstein. Kept the farm system good, still fielded a competitive team at the Major League roster. Dombrowski came in, completely wiped clean the farm system to help the Major League roster win. And it paid off. How's this going to pay off? By lowering the talent on the Major League level to up the talent in the minor league level. And we don't even know if any of these guys are even going to succeed. Jeter Downs, Connor Wong, we don't know how they're going to develop after missing a season. They missed a season of development because there was no minor league system, because of the pandemic. Is that their fault? No. Is it the Red Sox fault? No. It's no one's fault. Things happen, but still, that hurts them as players to get called up. If there was no COVID in that last year, I still don't think the Red Sox were going to make the playoffs, but we would have been able to watch Jeter Downs develop more in Portland and then potentially Pawtucket. Now Worcester. Same with Connor Wong. Watched him develop in Portland. Maybe he could have gotten elevated to Pawtucket / Worcester, and we could have called it a day. But. At what cost? At what cost is it for the Red Sox to say, okay, yeah, we're rebuilding the farm system, but we still don't field a competitive team? And my fear with Chaim Bloom, and not say that he's not doing a great job or anything, just I don't really want him to, and not really wanting to see. I don't want him and the Red Sox to get into a small market mentality. That's not what I want them to do. You are playing in Boston, a team who's won 4 championships in a span of 20 years. 4 World Series in the span of 20 years. And now all of a sudden you want to get into the small market mentality. We're not the Tampa Bay Rays, who can play like absolute dog crap for 5 years, have 3 good seasons, and then go back to playing like dog crap. You're not the Rays. We're not going to become the Tampa Bay Rays of the North. And the Rays literally dumped half their World Series roster. They lost it, but they started their roster going. Morton's gone, Snell's gone, Renfro's here. The Rays completely picked apart their whole team. Now the Rays are going to go back to suckitude. And you want to follow that? If you're a fan of the Red Sox, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that at all. At all. I don't want to see it. You're the Boston Red Sox playing in a big market. Act like it. We're not the Tampa Bay Rays. We're not the Kansas City Royals, who you just traded Benintendi to. We're a big market city who is expected to compete for championships, or at the very least compete year in and year out. As a fan, I don't want to watch this team lose 100 games to get a top pick. So that just proves that you don't care about the Major League roster right now. You care about it 10 years from now. Why not both? Still build this team for the future, but still build this team to compete today. And that's what I fear, that the Red Sox have set Alex Cora up to fail, just like they set Ron Renneke up to fail. That's my fear. With this Red Sox, I don't trust this Red Sox team. I don't. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope Alex Cora proves me wrong. But as a Red Sox fan, as this team, giving you any hope for what they've done in the past 2 off seasons, trading away Betts and Benintendi and letting Bradley walk, who's still a free agent, who's probably still going to be a free agent, because nobody wants to pay him the money that he could get. Nobody wants to give him a year for $10 million. I'd do that right now for the Red Sox. 1 year, $10 million. Come on back. We could use you. Prove that you deserve a big contract. When we come back, it's hockey night in New England, and finally, the Bruins got a home game. They finally got a home game. We'll break it down next. TitleTown Throwdown on all Sports Fan Base Network platforms. And welcome back to TitleTown Throwdown. I am Nick LeBlanc. Hockey's back in Boston tonight. What feels like forever, the Bruins finally get to play a game on TD Garden ice. They haven't done that since, January. And you could think Buffalo and New Jersey. And the Bruins have had yet another home game postponed. And we can thank Philadelphia for that one. We can only thank the NHL for it because the Bruins have to play in Lake Tahoe this upcoming Sunday. And that's where they get to be. They get to be the home team. So the Bruins have not only played the least amount of home games of any team in the National Hockey League, they're also losing a home game to an outdoor game. They're losing a game to an outdoor game. So in a 56-game season, we're going to do this real quick because my math skills off the top of my head absolutely stink. 28 home games. The Bruins have played 4. They're about to play 2 this week. One at TD Garden and a quote-unquote home game in Colorado. Not Colorado, Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Realistically, the Bruins only got to play 27 games at the TD Garden. While, now, I don't know who the home team is between the Avalanche and the Golden Knights. I believe it's Vegas. But, roughly though, every other team in the league has to play 28 home games in their home arena. A lot of teams haven't missed a home game yet, and yet the Bruins have had 3 home games postponed. 2 against Buffalo, 1 against New Jersey, and I believe another one coming up against the Flyers. So the Bruins have had 4 home games postponed. This is just their 5th home game of the season. And it's against New Jersey, a team who they faced in the first 2 games of the year, won and lost. Both in overtime shootout, but still. But look, the Bruins are playing well. They're atop of the East, or I should say the Mass Mutual Eastern Division, because all these divisions have to be sponsored this year for whatever dumb reason. Money flow for the NHL, I'm assuming. But here's how the Mass Mutual East Division looks right now. Bruins are top at 10-2-2 with 22 points. Islanders right behind the Bruins at 8-4-3 with 19 points. Flyers 8-3-2 with 18 points. Capitals 7-4-3 with 17 points. Pittsburgh 7-6-1 at 15 points. New Jersey 5-3-2 with 12 points. The Devils the Rangers 4-7-3 with 11 points, and then the Sabres rounded out with 4-6-2 with only 10 points. Now here's what's sad. The Ottawa Senators have played 18 games. They have less points than the Devils, Sabres, and the Dallas Stars, all of whom have had games postponed due to either COVID-related issues or, in Dallas's case recently, winter storms. Ottawa still has less points than them, and Ottawa's played more games. So there's the sad part right there. There's the sad truth. So for the Bruins, they're breaking up the quote-unquote perfection line in Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak, which, again, is not a bad thing. No, change is good, but the Bruins say that they need someone to play with David Krejci on the wing. Why haven't you gotten that guy yet? You've been saying, not only the Bruins, but Bruins fans and analysts have been saying for at least the last 4 years that Krejci needs a winger that can play with him on the second line. Yet we still keep seeing the Charlie Coyles, the Jake DeBrusk, which aren't bad players, but we're seeing those guys. We're seeing these guys come up internally. None of them can play with Krejci. They can't. Get yourself a winger that can play with David Krejci. James Neal just got waived by the Oilers. He is a good second-line option that can play with David Krejci, or you can put him on the first line if you want to. Keep Pastrnak with Krejci and put James Neal with Bergeron and Marchand. That works to an extent. I don't know. It's worth a shot. But Bruins, they constantly say, we need someone to play with Krejci. We need someone to play with Krejci. Go out and get him. Then go out and get him already. What are you waiting for? Christmas? Like, honest to God, what are you waiting for? Right? You got a guy in James Neal available. Go get him already. It's not going to cost you much. If anything, it's worth like a third-round pick. I'm pretty sure he's cleared waivers. So he's stuck in Edmonton until the Oilers find a trade partner for him. You don't got to give up much for James Neal. A second or third-round pick might do it. You don't have to give Edmonton a first. They don't deserve a first-round pick because they're in it. They're in it. In it. They are the Western Conference version of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good regular season, absolutely fall flat on their faces in the postseason. Or they don't even make it at all. One of the two, there's no in between. Just like the Maple Leafs. You either miss the playoffs or you get to the playoffs and you lose in the first round. It's the Toronto way. And also, let's be honest, the Maple Leafs still haven't fully recovered since the 4-1 blow lead in Game 7 of the 2013 Eastern Conference quarterfinal. They haven't. Don't let them fool you. They haven't. But anyway, though, we say, and we constantly see that Bruins, they need someone to play with David Krejci. They need someone to play with Krejci. Krejci this, Krejci that. Can go get him already instead of saying it. Saying and actually doing are two different things. Try to get Edmonton to eat half of his salary. Just so that way you can get him on the books and on the team. Something. Anything. Instead of saying, oh, David Krejci's never going to have someone to play with him. David Krejci needs somebody to play with him. You can put those to bed. Just now, Patriots, if he struggles on the second line, you have to put him back up on the first line of Bergeron and Marchand in order to get him going again. Because that's his line. That is his line. It's been his line since he came in. Since Bruce Cassidy took over. It has been Bergeron, Pastrnak, Marchand on that top line. And the three have been successful at it for 3 years. They didn't show up in the playoffs last year, but they didn't have the Bruins team didn't even bother to show up in the bubble. But anyway, Bruins, you got a guy out there. Go get him. Go get him. James Neal is sitting there, ready to go. All you gotta do is just make a move. That's all you just gotta make a move. That's all you have to do. It's not that hard. Don Sweeney, Cam Neely. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. It's a hockey team. I'm not asking you to solve the quadratic equation here. Just asking you to go get a reliable scorer in James Neal. That's all. That's all. All I'm asking for. All right, one more quick break. When we come back, big offseason coming up for the Patriots, but more particularly Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick does not do well in this offseason/season, should Bill Belichick get his general manager status ripped from him? We'll talk about it. TitleTown Throwdown on all Sports Fan Base Network platforms. MMA Complete coming up tonight at 8 p.m. in their normal time slot. Here we are about to wrap up the show, the final segment here. The New England Patriots are entering this offseason with probably more question marks than they entered with last season. Who's going to be their quarterback? Who is going to lead this team? Are we finally going to get a tight end? Are we finally going to see more receivers? Or is it going to be more of the same from Bill Belichick? Trading the number one pick, trading the Patriots' first pick in the draft for a fourth round pick because he doesn't have one. And then we draft someone out of Division 3 and we don't get anyone in free agency. And this team goes back into a black hole. And say, oh, but they went 7-9 with Cam last year. What did he do? What did Tom Brady do? 11-5 and he won the damn Super Bowl. Brady basically gave Bill Belichick the biggest middle finger there could possibly be. Even bigger than the one that the Patriots gave to Dell in 2016. An even bigger one. Does Tom Brady prove that he can win a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick? And what did Bill Belichick prove? that he's a mediocre head coach. Not mediocre. That's an insult to Bill. He is a good head coach, but cannot do it without a good, reliable offense. So I'm not going to call Bill Belichick mediocre, even though he is under 500 without Tom Brady in his coaching career. With Tom Brady, he is absolutely outstanding. Anyway, though. So, big offseason for Bill. Will he get his receivers? Will he actually put together a great overhaul in the offense and give us something? I don't know. I really don't know, and that's what frightens me. That's what frightens me as a fan. That Bill Belichick's just going to sit on his hands and do nothing. I fear that Bill Belichick's going to do absolutely nothing this offseason. He's not going to build up a receiving core. He's going to wait till the last minute to find a quarterback. So Cam Newton will probably be back. I don't think he will be back. I don't think he should be back, but don't be surprised if he does come back. Plus, he'll have a full training camp, preseason games. Whether that's 3 or 4 games, we don't know yet. We don't know when that 17th game can go into effect. It can go into effect as early as this season. Will we get the 17th game this year? I don't know. I kind of hope not. I kind of hope we never see the 17th game, to be brutally honest. But that's out of my control. My fear with Bill Belichick is that he rather just focus on the defensive side of the football and screw the offense. While the defense, yeah, they have holes. They do have holes. But when it comes to the Patriots, though, the biggest flaw is on offense, and Tom Brady was able to hide all the discrepancies that the offense had. If you really want to look at it, were they the biggest guys that Brady had? No. Not by a long shot, but they were productive guys. They got open. They caught the ball. They did their job. Really, the last competent receiving core that Tom Brady had was a healthy Edelman, Danny Amendola, a fired-up one, a motivated Chris Hogan, a motivated and focused Rob Gronkowski at the time. Not saying that Gronk's not focused and motivated now. But you had those 4 guys, plus their secondary options who weren't half bad either. And you won a Super Bowl with that crowd. You won 2 of them. You went to 3 of them with that crowd. Amendola left. Brandon Cooks came in. He got traded. Hogan, he left. Gronkowski retired and then came back. Not as the Patriots, but Brady was just left with Edelman. And then a skeleton receiving core in N'Keal Harry, who missed half of his rookie year. Mohamed Sanu, who I thought was going to be great, but had ankle issues, and he couldn't run in a straight line. And Jacoby Myers, who we never built up a good rapport in, but I think Myers could become a great wide receiver. So there's some upside. Is there upside to the Patriots receiving core? Yeah, Harry could turn into a great guy. Jacoby Myers can turn into a great guy. But they need guys around them too, and they need someone who can throw them the football. And I don't think Cam can do that. Look, if you don't draft a quarterback, you got to go out and get yourself one. Whether that's trading for one or signing a decent one. Is Deshaun Watson coming here? No. There are rumors about Russell Wilson. Forget about it. Carson Wentz, he's off the board. Nick Foles, if available, maybe. Mitchell Trubisky, I wouldn't personally do it, but he wouldn't be a bad option. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'd do in a heartbeat. Why the hell? Why not? Why not? He's a good, reliable quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to bring you to the promised land, but he's a guy that will keep you relevant keep in a playoff race. Might finish 500, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6. Might not make it, but I'll take a 9-7, 10-6 bridge year. I'll take that, especially if you're Bill Belichick and you want to chase John Shula. A 10-win season would really help you out there, wouldn't it, Bill? But another thing, too, with this Patriots team, and this is where Bill Belichick comes in. This is where I want to see Robert Kraft start to step in. If this team has no talent or lack of talent entering the 2021 season, you don't get anyone during the season to help you out. Well, that's anyone on offense, anyone that particularly can just run a 5-yard slant. If you can't run a 5-yard slant, or you don't get a guy to run a 5-yard slant, I don't know what to tell you. But this is where I want to see Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft step in. If Bill Belichick continues to pull the same stunts, not signing guys, not building up the offense, not trying to get this offense back on track, Bill Belichick should be not fired, but stripped of his roster control status. You go out and hire a general manager who will build a team, who will get a good quarterback, who won't be afraid to trade for good receivers or draft good receivers. Take the roster out of Bill Belichick's hands. If Bill doesn't like it, you can tell him to walk. You can agree to mutually part ways, which is another word for if you don't like our way, there's the highway. And that's Bill's thing. My way or the highway. And look, it's Kraft's fault. Kraft gave Belichick full roster control when he first hired Belichick. At the time, was that a bad thing? Absolutely not. Was it a bad thing for 20 years? No. For the last 5 or 6 years, it might be time to get a general manager in here who will build the team and will have final say on the roster. Not saying that Belichick can't, have a say in the roster, but Belichick should not control who gets signed and who doesn't get signed. You had a GM in the wings waiting. Where's he? In Houston, dealing with a disgruntled quarterback who that they A, don't want to trade, and B, you have no shot at trading for. Because two things. Really one thing. Lack of assets and lack of draft capital. Yeah, you got the 15th pick and the Houston Texans wanted to trade back into the first round. That is enticing for them. However, they want a top 10 pick. Because Houston was supposed to have the number 3 overall pick, but they stupidly traded that to Miami for Jeremy Tunsil, my apologies. So the Dolphins, who finished 10-6, have the 3rd overall pick and can go out and probably get the best wide receiver off the draft board. Do I think Belichick should use a 1st-round pick? Yeah, use it on whoever, the best quarterback available, the best receiver available. Tight end, you can find a great tight end in round 2. That's where Gronk came from. You can even find a good quarterback in round number 2. But if you think, Patriot fans, that we're going to sit there in the 6th round with the 199th pick, 5th or 6th round, with pick number 199 overall, and we draft the next Brady, no one from the 6th round, 6th, 7th rounds, are ever going to come up with careers like Tom Brady and Julian Edelman have. Brady, Hall of Fame career. Edelman? Yeah, sure. He's in the conversation. Will he get in? Who knows? Brady? Absolutely. You're not going to find another. There's never going to be another Brady. You're never going to have a 6th round pick play 20 years. You're not. You're not going to find another Brady. You're not going to find another guy like Edelman. You need to find those guys early in the draft. 90% of the time, they work out. The 10% of the time, they're busts. All right? As a Patriots fan, I want to see the Patriots succeed. But not at like this. So, big offseason for Belichick. He needs to go out and get a reliable quarterback. Reliable. I'm not saying he has to go out and get a stud quarterback like Mahomes. You know, just someone who is reliable, who can win you games and get you to the playoffs, and then you take it from there. Reliable quarterback, reliable receiving core to build around Jacoby Myers. Do I think N'Keal Harry will be here after next season? Not really. If he is, great. If not, oh well. You tried with him. Get yourself a tight end. Beef up that offensive line. Running backs, you're going to lose James White. Not bring him back. Or the offense needs a complete overhaul. Defense, minor tweaks. If you bring back Hightower and Chung, you're golden. You'll be fine. Bring back Gilmore, fine. You want to use Gilmore in a trade package to get a quarterback? By all means, do it. By all means, do it. Anything to just help this offense be a little bit more competent. Because it's been incompetent each of the last 2 years. Really, half a season. The second half of the 2019 season, this offense was dead. D-E-A-D with a capital dead. So, anyway, that wraps up TitleTown Throwdown for this week. Thank you for joining me for this special late afternoon edition. Everyone stay safe, stay warm, and we will talk to you next Thursday at 7 p.m. TitleTown Throwdown. You can catch replay of this on sportsfanbasenetwork.com and on our YouTube page. And to catch more great shows tonight, like MMA Complete, the Ocean State Athlete, and many more great podcasts here on the Sports Fan Base Network podcast network. Once again, I'm Nick LeBlanc. Have a great rest of your Thursday.